Alright, good morning, y'all. We're back, and of course, this is that man A&J here with the best of sports and pro wrestling talk, the best of pro wrestling and sports talk. Either way that you slice it up, you want to be here for the best of it, and we're not going to mess around. We're just going to jump right into things. We got to talk about this. Of course, a lot of this is all from yesterday. We got to talk about Saquon Barkley here now. Easily the highest paid running back probably in NFL history, certainly in the current NFL right now, as he just received a 2-year, $41.2 million extension, in which case he's the first NFL running back to making $20 million per season. I mean, this is huge, and also significant for the fact that, of course, the Eagles did a little budget cutting in the form of, interestingly enough, starting corners Darius Slay and James Bradbury, and now with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, who was a Super Bowl standout this year. I mean, I guess you can't go wrong with making such a move. I mean, your secondary is just about set for the future. It's pretty incredible seeing what we're seeing with this team right now, but really and truly, for me, I feel as if this is something you, again, wouldn't have seen for other running backs. Hell, he actually left the New York Giants, given the fact that they weren't willing to pay him this kind of money, and yet he goes within division to the Philadelphia Eagles, wins a championship, nearly breaks Eric Dickerson's record, which, of course, the only thing keeping him from that was Nick Sirianni sitting him in the final game. Turns out it was a smart move for obvious reasons, but even with that being the case, this is going to be remarkable, because I feel like this ought to change things to some degree as far as how running backs are valued and treated. I'm not sure that this is something that you see right away, because kind of tough to match what you get from a Saquon Barkley, and I mean, it's just tricky. The lifespan still isn't as strong. I don't know. I guess with some of the newer talent that you do see, like Bijan Robinson, and of course, a lot of people are high on Ashton Genty coming in. I'm not so much, but you know, if everything holds to form, specifically for Genty the way that it does, and even for Bijan and a couple others that I may not be naming, it might not be long before you're talking about those guys as the next ones to receive these kind of contracts. I mean, I'm not sure what all it's going to wind up taking for that to be the case, but I think we're starting to see a change here with the running back market in the NFL, but only time will tell, I guess. That being said, we're going to move right along into basketball here, and got to talk about Shaquille O'Neal and Steph Curry, specifically because on TNT last night, I'm not sure if this was in the game break or during halftime of the game between the Golden State Warriors and the New York Knicks. Either way, Shaq actually made a point to where he said he believes that Steph Curry should be entered into the GOAT conversation, which is interesting. I'm not sure where I'm at on that personally. Given the things that we've seen from Steph Curry over time, I'm not going to entirely say that. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say no at all. I'm not going to say no at all from the standpoint of we've never seen anything like a Steph Curry before. Nothing remotely close. The closest you can probably get to that maybe Steve Nash, but for me, I don't think Steve Nash is as good a defender. I'm not saying that Curry is an overly elite defender. He's better than what people give him credit for, but he definitely has that, and on top of that, he's actually got championships and, of course, a Finals MVP to his name, so those kind of things kind of, weigh themselves out accordingly. Either way, I just feel as if, even for the milestone that we're about to talk about here, this definitely bears some consideration, because much like the next individual I'm about to talk about here, He's actually got 4 rings, regardless of how you want to talk about him getting those rings, and what and who that involved. More than anything else, I think it's been said multiple times that Steph Curry has changed and even revolutionized the game in ways that others could not. And I gotta say that in and of itself certainly is enough to warrant putting him in the conversation. Obviously, I know where I stand as we get into the final topic here, but yeah, I'm not as quick to say no about this as I might have been at one point. And with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get to the main topic of our video here today. And yes, you guessed it, it's the GOAT conversation. Of course, it's been brought back up, especially on First Take this morning. Stephen A. Smith says some really interesting things. Nobody has shown the longevity that a LeBron James has. I don't deny that. I absolutely have to agree. And for accomplishing 50,000 plus, definitely remarkable in and of itself, and it's probably something we're not going to see for a very, very long time, if ever again. Who knows if I'll even be alive for that. But all the same, I take nothing away from the accomplishment itself. I take nothing away from LeBron at all. He certainly served as a member of the Mount Rushmore of the NBA without question. And a lot of talk has gone on about said Mount Rushmore. In fact, just because we're including Steph into the GOAT conversation, I gotta do this because you're not going to have a GOAT conversation, obviously, without LeBron or MJ, respectively. But if we're going to throw Curry into it, we need to be talking about Kobe as well. Let's talk about Kobe because, if nothing else, people feel as if Kobe actually was greater than MJ, which unfortunately that's not the case. I mean, and even Kobe himself acknowledges that, and it's not even so much the greatness in and of itself. In his own words, there would be no Kobe Bryant without Michael Jordan. It's really as simple as that. And you gotta acknowledge the fact that the same has to be true with even LeBron and Steph Curry for that matter, because they both changed the game in their own ways and have sustained excellence, especially in their own ways. And aside from all of this, it's not even close. These are definitely the 4 pillars of the more recent modern era. Take nothing away from Kareem, take nothing away from a Wilt, Bill Russell, or even Oscar Robertson, Jerry West. I mean, we're at a point now to where you just can't have just a Mount Rushmore anymore. It's just, it goes beyond even a Hall of Fame, I think. I don't know if there's anything that we can come up with for that, but yeah, this is where we're at with this now. And I don't know any other way to look at it. Still in all, MJ above everyone else. That's just the bottom line. And there's no argument that you have that's going to ever take away from that. That's just where it is, and that's certainly where I stand about it, Again, 50,000 points is great, and I love seeing LeBron doing what he is doing at this point, but it's still MJ at the end of the day. And I just don't see anything else changing that, at least until Wemby gets to this point where we're talking about him. Nonetheless, I'm going to leave it at that. Y'all know what it is. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think, whether y'all disagree with me or not. With that in mind, this has been your time with A&J, and I thank you for spending it with me.